All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know who it is, you know what it is. Your captain speaking, and today coming with another video here. Apparently, this one's at a college campus. I don't know because I just watched again. Like I say, I try to keep this thing authentic and as raw with the reactions as possible. So I don't really watch too much of the video. I watch like maybe a couple seconds, 2 to 3 seconds, but looks like it's college campus in the interview. I'm not really even sure what they're talking about, but we're gonna record. We're gonna see and make some comments. Hopefully, this one's good. I don't know, but we'll see what's up here.
Allow all the violent immigrants and yes,
We should allow them to what?
stay here.
Okay.
People give people labels all the time, and
No, they named themselves, like they named their own gang MS-13.
yeah. But you saying violent, which I understand, but gangs are there for a reason. Gangs are there for community, and they're there because listen, gangs are formed for community. They're formed because
Pause for this lady keeps going. I hear what she's trying to articulate. So she's trying to articulate back in the day when the Crips and the Bloods, they were formed for community to fight back against basically the cops, because the cops back in those days were doing were taking advantage, basically, right? That was coming out of the still racist times, etc. So this is what this young lady, I think, is trying to articulate. What makes it crazy now is that they're talking about the MS-13 and she's talking about labels, etc. Most gangs are violent. Okay, the reason why they have to be, think about like what I just said with the Crips and the Bloods. Okay, you created a group to combat the police. The police were known for being violent and or taking advantage, right? So maybe they plant drugs on you, maybe they beat you down. So now you create a group of people, and that group of people is supposed to be equal or greater than the oppressed, that or the oppressor that's coming upon you, right? So these gangs were always bred to have some type of violence amongst them. Okay, so nobody's giving these gangs a label and say, "Oh, you guys are automatically violent." The gangs are known to be violent because that's the whole point, and not the whole point, but one of the purposes of the gang is protection, and protection means up until the physical contact, which will be, of course, violence. But I digress.
they're lacking something. They couldn't
Drug
find,
cartels and human
Okay,
trafficking and
listen.
sex trafficking
No.
and gang raping.
No, that's a byproduct of human evil. That's not what gangs. I'm saying gangs in general, not MS-13.
But you're telling me that when someone that's not an American citizen comes over and commits a crime, they should be allowed to stay.
They should be able to go to American jail.
So you want them to be housed in American jails?
Yeah, they did the crime in America, didn't they?
Okay, that was like the end of the video. So this lady, she just, okay, I'm going to take I'm assuming she's young, she's inexperienced. Okay, so let me just break this down real quick. So the jails are privatized businesses, okay? When somebody comes overseas, illegal immigrant, they commit a crime. What she's trying to say is, okay, let them go to American jail. I understand where her logic is somewhat coming from, because she's saying, hey, you committed a crime in America, you should go to American jail. The problem with that is, if you let these people come and stay in American jails, guess who has to pay for that? We, the taxpayers. Okay, so we're actually feeding and housing these people. Okay, so if you don't put a lid on that and you start to say, hey, that's why Trump is saying, hey, we're going to take these people and bring them back to their country. And that's number one. Number two is, imagine you got all these people, like what she's trying to get at, and they're coming to these American jails. Okay, now, eventually you're going to have to just build more prisons, because you can't house all these people, right? So that costs money. That money is going to come from who? American taxpayers. So the thing is, like, these kids, they're not really too educated on how it works, which I somewhat understand, because nobody's really teaching these kids that. And then on top of that, they're not taking the effort to go do a little research and say, okay, this is how this stuff works, right? They're just coming from an emotional standpoint and saying, okay, they're seeing these people as humans, which we all should. I don't believe that there's a legal person, but I do understand the economics behind it, right? If I'm housing a bunch of people who are undocumented and I have to thereby pay for these people some way, somehow, the people who are naturally born in the country, okay, let's just take America out of it. It could be any country. Imagine half of America just illegally came over to, let's just say Africa. Okay. Now Africa has to come up with some way to house these people, some way to take care of these people, because it's a byproduct. If people come over here and they're not able to be cared for health wise, etc., they can potentially have issues and then cause those. You're gonna go to a hospital, and if you get shot, you're gonna go to a hospital. Period. That hospital, as by law, has to take care of you. They have to. Now, if you don't have insurance, who foots that bill? That's the American people that foot that bill. Okay? So what this lady is getting at, I understand her logic to a point, because she's trying to say, hey, listen, they're people. I'm trying to clean up what she's trying to say. I don't know the people, but at the end of the day, there's no logic behind it. The average individual who is coming over here, they may mean well, right? But there's no stat to say, and that's why they're getting on Trump saying, okay, they're taking the violent criminals, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't seen any stat to say that the average person coming over here is doing good or bad, right? As far as violence go. But the problem is one bad apple spoils the bunch. So you have a bunch of illegal coming over to America, and one person out of that bunch, let's just say you had, I don't know, 250,000 illegals come over there. And out of that 10% of that 250, so 2,500 of them committed some type of crime. It could be violent, it could be forged, whatever. That's going to make it look bad on the 250, because out of all the illegal that came over here, the majority, because you don't have the stats to back up to say, hey, this person is one in every three people, at least I haven't seen it, but one in every three people, one in every four people that come over here illegally commits a crime. Okay, we like to think that these people that come over here, they mean well, they're just trying to get a better life, blah, 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 which could be the case. But the problem is, if you're coming over here illegally and somebody else comes over here illegally, and the one illegal creates a problem, creates a crime that thereby gets, especially if it gets on the news, right? That's just gonna make everything else look bad. So that's where it really was coming on. And then you got the economics behind it, because now you have to pay for these people, you have to house these people. This is why this was a big deal with New York specifically, where they're taking these people and putting them into hotels, right? And then who's fitting the bill? Tax, right? So this is the problem. But I think these kids are just not educated as well. And mostly at her age, I'm guessing she's late, early 20s, right? To early to mid 20s, something like that. It's on you to educate yourself, right? At the end of the day. But, to each his own. To each his own on that. But that was an interesting conversation. Till the next one, y'all. Peace.